This is Jeffrey Crivero, and I'm conducting an oral history with Betty Robinson. The interview is being conducted at the Hopper Academy in the Georgetown neighborhood of Sanford, Florida on Saturday, March 18th, 2023. Ms. Robinson, thank you for speaking with us today. Would you begin, please, by stating for us your name and telling us a little bit about where you're from and what life was like for you growing up?
My name is Betty Jean Cromerton Robinson. I was born in Sanford. My parents were Mr. Mose and Lottie Lewis Cromerton. I had two sisters and one brother. He died the day he was born. So there's only 3 girls. My mother died when I was 13 months. So my grandmother, my aunts, and my sisters raised me since I was the last baby. My neighborhood and my childhood years were fun because I always believed in having fun. And we used to sit on the front. We couldn't go in the road, in the sand road, and play ball like the other kids without asking permission. So we could sit on the porch and watch the neighborhood and the neighborhood people go by. And one thing we did when we sat on the porch, we knew everybody almost in the community. And most would speak, even the ones that were inhibited. They would, stop and speak to you and talk to you. And we used to play in the backyard a lot. And we had oranges off the tree, went up the tree, ate tangerines, grapefruits. We had chickens, we had ducks, we had a chicken house. And when turkeys came into you could raise them, my grandmother raised turkeys. I remember once on the summer months when we were out of school, we would go fishing because we were 10 blocks from the St. John River, and we would play while she and her friends fished. We went to church every Sunday school all the way through, at a full day. And we came to school to Hopper during the week, during the year, and during the summer, Hopper had a summer program. And we went to the summer program. It was from, I guess, like 8 to 12. And we went then. And some of the ladies that influenced me, us to become active in the community, were ladies from our church, Zion Hope Missionary Baptist Church, where we were reared. And we also went to Trinity, and sometime at night with my grandmother, but we mostly went with my aunt. And sometimes, as we grew older, we would leave Sunday school and we would go to a lady named Miss Charlotte Carey's house. And she always had some of the kids, cake and milk to tide you over till you went home after church. But overall, it was a fruitful experience for me. And you couldn't do anything devilish in the neighborhood, out of order, because there was always somebody there to correct you. Some lady would say something to you if you were wrong, or either a gentleman. He said, well, if you don't want to do what I say, I have to talk to your grandmother. And we didn't want that because we knew what was coming. She tried to give us the best during the times. And she loved us. She loved us. Because I figured she didn't, she wouldn't have taken care of us. And I remember my aunt lived next to Miss Ruth Mae Prince. We called her Mama Sweet. She was always doing something. She'd get up at 4 in the morning. If she wasn't washing, she'd be doing something. But she went to bed before dark because she had completed her day. And she was an influence on me because I saw how she loved to do things, and she was active, and she didn't just sit down. We had some in our church, like Miss Victoria Burden, Miss Anna Jeff. They were ladies that they gave you, if you were out of order, they brought you back in order. We had, who else was it? Well, Miss Altonese Dixon, I was with her daughter Gloria, and she was an influence. Everybody on Locust Avenue was an influence on you somewhere down the line. And if you did right, you were okay. But if you messed up and when you got in stuff, and did things you weren't supposed to do, they wouldn't. Some of them would spank you if it was real bad. But basically, they told your parents. I'm going to tell this story. My sister gone, but we went to school here at Hopper. And I was in the first grade across the hall. And she was up here on this side in third grade with Miss Laura Frazier Fulton. And I don't know what she did, but she punched the lady, and the lady was going to hit her in her hand with a paramedic for doing something. So she hit the lady this stomach. I didn't find this out. What they did, they didn't tell me what she did. They gave me a note. Said, take it to your aunt and your grandmother. I said, okay. So on the way home, we went around the corner, straight down Hickory's to right off of 9th Street to my aunt Bertha Harris. And she kept telling me, give me that note, give me that thing they gave you. The principal gave it to me, Mr. Eubanks. And I said, they told me to give it to her. I'll give it to Miss Taylor. She said, they don't need it. She tried her best to get that note, but I kept that note in that book bag. I gave it to my aunt Mary when I got there. I said, she tried to take it from me. She said, what? I said, yeah. She said, oh, no. Give it here. When I gave it to her, she said, you just go on the front porch. Go in the kitchen, get you something, and go on the front porch. The next thing I heard was hollering. I said, no, she didn't. I took myself outside. I said, ooh, goodness alive. She don't mess with her. But that was one event that I enjoyed it. Was laughable to me, but she didn't like me to tell it. But I thought I enjoyed it. But here in Hopper, we had May Days. We had a May Day where we did the flag, did the maypole. We played basketball, learned how to play basketball for girls and boys. And we also had chapel upstairs once a week. And because the 3rd and the 4th grade were upstairs, and the 5th and the 6th grade were upstairs when I was here. And we would go up the steps and have a chapel. And then I can't remember having any other activities. I know we played outside every day, and our bathrooms were at the end of the sidewalk out there. And we had bathroom breaks, but mostly we learned. I forgot the hours of the day that we did school. But I know we got out early, not before 3 o'clock. I think this bell rang at 9. Yeah, I think so. But overall, I had a good childhood. even though I didn't have my parents, my aunt and my grandmother and my sisters saw that my sister and I had a good childhood. And the people in the neighborhood were like surrogate mothers. If you did wrong, they chastised you or corrected you where you would learn to do better, and you could follow them. Some things that they gave you in their chastisement would help you to grow and to be a better person, and gave you encouragement to do things for your community. Because we would see them from church, that if you were sick, somebody was there with you. You know, if you had children, they would come and see about you. Even your pastor would come and see about you. Anything they could do, anything they saw they needed to do, they would just pick it up and do it, you know, without being asked. And that's one of the things I do to help people when I see them, even in walking. I meet people. And one thing we did learn, they did teach us, was to say, good morning, how you doing? And they didn't teach you when you were like 7, 8. You started that from the beginning. When you started, you know, walking in. And they'll say, good morning, you know, good afternoon, whatever, how you doing? Give you courtesies. But that was mostly my childhood, that from things that I remember. And yes, Mrs. We had a man in Georgetown named Mr. George Swain that lived on Locust. He had on white. He worked for the Chamber of Commerce as a janitor. And every day he went to work, we would be on the porch, just people watching, they called it today. And he would say, he would come out, he had on a white hat, white suit, white shoes, work outfit. And he would get in the middle of the road and he would walk. Each house he passed, he said, how do you do, madam, on this side? And he said, well, how do you do, madam? He spoke to everybody that was on the porch on Locust. And after he got to Young Service, I don't know where he went. But I know in that area or the neighborhood, he always did. And when he sat on his porch, he smoked a cigar. And you say, how you do, Mr. Swain? He said, how do you do, madam? No matter whether you were a child or an adult, he always spoke to you and he recognized you with respect. And you respected him because, and when he talked to you, he was a model for us, you know, because he spoke and he gave us encouragement. You know, if he heard something we did good in the neighborhood. But he was a good neighbor. But I had a good childhood.
You've been named as a community mother. What does that mean to you? And are there women that you've known in the past who you'd call a community mother?
Well, I would call Ruth and May Mama Sweet Prince one. I would say Miss Victoria Burden from our church. Betty Roberts Washington lived on Locust. She was always nice and was always doing something, you know, in her community to help. We had several other ladies called Miss Miss Wright, Julia's Miss Edith Wright. she did. She was always, to me, she exhibited traits of being a good mother and trying to carry herself as a person that could help people. And in later years, when Miss Bentley came back, after Miss Bentley came back, she was one that showed us further how we could be more active in the community, in our community with things and with people. And I had a friend that showed me how to reach out more to people. And I was always a talker, so that helped me a lot to meet a lot of people. Because when I was younger, they say that I talk too much. But, yeah, that was it.
What inspired you to do work preserving Georgetown's history, and what is your favorite piece of history that you've learned from your preservation work?
Say it again.
So what inspired you to do work preserving the history of Georgetown, and is there anything that you've learned doing that stands out to you?
Well, Miss Bentley, I always loved history. And she came along and she was gathering information for her first book. And she pulled my sister and I, Elaine, in with Hopper. And then she pulled us in with her stories about some things we didn't know about Georgetown. And some people that she knew, and information. She and Miss Ollie Williams, in the same group. And the thing that I learned from Miss Bentley and Miss Ollie is, if you have a history nugget and you don't really know much about it, seek it out, look for it. And to me it's a lot of fun because I'm amazed at what I learned and what I can find. I like finding stuff. I didn't really realize it until I was in junior college. I like history. But I really didn't know how to find it and to seek it out. So Miss Bentley and Miss Ollie taught me how to seek out information and how to get information, even from things that I knew.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to expand on or add to? Do you have any final thoughts for us?
The only thing is with Hopper and with Georgetown, there are a lot of hidden nuggets that we don't know about. And the only thing I would expand on is that we're in Georgetown. We need to expand on our history and teach our kids about Georgetown and what it means to us and what it should mean to them. And I think in the schools, it's my opinion, that they should teach about Georgetown in this area because of Hopper. Or we should have some kind of program to bring the students in from the school to teach about Georgetown's history and show some of our artifacts of how our past life was when we were coming up. Because I understand from one gentleman, he's deceased, that the boys used to play on one side of the building and the girls used to play on the other. And I said, well, but see, when we came along, it wasn't like that. But I'd like for the history to be taught so the students, no matter what race, whatever, can be taught and know about Georgetown and its importance because it was the first black community in Sanford. That's what I'd like.
Well, Mrs. Robinson, thank you so much for sharing your time and speaking with us today. This has been Jeffrey Crivero with Betty Robinson on March 18th, 2023.